You're rolling. Okay, so it's the first time I've ever given this talk. How many people here, without saying anything, again, like my last workshop, know anything about the Bellingham windshield pitting incident? One. Kind of a vague. Deborah kind of has her sort of hand up. Okay, so one in, I guess it's two if we consider those two halves. All right, so I'm super excited to be able to share this with you. Many years ago when I started out with the skeptic community, I was just somebody who came to something and I sat in the audience and said, oh, this looks fun, I think I found my people. I was not necessarily shy, but I was not very educated and I didn't have a PhD, and everybody else in the room appeared to have 5 or 6 PhDs each. So it was a bit intimidating, and I didn't even have my bachelor's at that time. So they thought that maybe somebody suggested I should go up to something called the Skeptic Toolbox, which was held in Eugene, Oregon, and they were like this, except it happened at a college, summer, and where we stayed in the dorm rooms, we were in the cafeteria, and we were there for like 3 days, and it was a constant bonding because we didn't have internet. So we were always hanging out, and the faculty were 6 or so wonderful people like Ray Hyman, and we would go and we'd have lunch, dinner, breakfast with these people, and then we'd hang out and socialize, and I guess people drink wine, and we just constantly were hanging out. It was really a lot of fun. So I got talked into going to that, and I was really hooked on our community at that point. So at my first Skeptic's Toolbox, and these aren't done anymore, at my first Skeptic Toolbox, one of them, this Bellingham, Washington windshield pitting thing was mentioned, and it was kind of a case study that Ray Hyman, I think, had presented. So I only know of this because I went to visit it, so don't feel silly if you don't know what it is. But what is understanding the Bellingham windshield pitting incident is going to explain what's going on with the drone New Jersey thing, and Leonard will be presenting that. So I'm going to not really do any Q&A, I'm just going to end, and Leonard's going to take over, and it should make more sense to you. All right, so back in 1954, I guess I got to share my screen, huh? Otherwise I'm just going to be talking slides, and I've never done this before, so what I'm going to do, there you can see it. What I'm going to do, I don't want you to read these things. Don't read them. They're too small. Don't bother. I'm just going to talk about them. This is all about media and how the media emphasizes what's going on. Okay, I'll make sense in a minute. So, in 1954, in March 24th, 1954, you wake up to, this is very near Seattle, so you have an idea where this is. You wake up to headlines from the Birmingham Herald that like this, and the headlines are going to look like this, where they're saying local BB damage estimated $7,000, police quiz trio, and then also in the same thing it says window shooters may face tough rap if caught. So these are the headlines in your newspaper, and so you wake up and you're like, what the heck are they talking about? And you read the article, and you start to find out that what's going on is that somebody somewhere has reported that their windshield in their cars have been pitted, little holes in them. And they noticed that the whole parking lot at wherever they work, or if it was wherever it was, has pittings. And they called the police, because of course you do that whenever you find that everybody's got pits in their windshield. And they called the police, and the police took it very seriously, and they tried to do some investigation. So that all happened on, I believe, on Tuesday, March 23rd. So what you're waking up to is this. Okay. Now, again, don't read this because it's going to be almost impossible. It's blurry. I just cut it out of newspapers.com. But it says, the wave of windshield breaking mounted to a crest late Tuesday afternoon, even after some 125 cars were struck by BB shot or pellets from air guns around the Bellingham shipyards and the Mount Baker plywood firm in the whatever. So it happened during this time, and then there were also additional reports. So you're reading this and you're going, what the heck? What the heck's going on? And then investigators Wednesday afternoon found a number of rusted BB shot around the cars at the site. And they figured it was slingshots as well as BB guns were being used, because they didn't have any explanations, just what they're doing. The chief of police said, we just don't really know what's going on. So meanwhile, all available officers are assigned to watch for several cars marked as suspects. So one notice, a witness said that there were several young men with 2 BB rifles and an air pistol. So imagine how frightening this must have been to people in 1954, waking up to this thinking there are people armed, young hoodlums out there with BB guns and slingshots that are going around hitting, shooting up their windshields at their place of work or their parking lot areas, schools or whatever. And it's terrifying because you don't know, what does this mean? 1954 was a kind of a time where, you know, we didn't have, we just relied on newspapers and for our media and each other. So we didn't have internet or places to be able to look into this kind of stuff. So it was very frightening. Then what ends up happening is you're going to see an escalation of some sort, but the police take this very seriously. The chief added the damage was possibly, finally, that the work was not of youngsters, as is now we're thinking it's people over 21. So they didn't really know anything. They were looking and they found this shot or this brown stuff that was beside the cars, and they were examining it and they didn't know what it was, and people are calling the police every time that they see that this is continuing to happen. So at this point, what do? What would you guys do if you wake up to these headlines? What are you going to do? What's the first thing you're going to do?
Shoot to kill.
Besides that, okay? What else would you do?
You gotta look at your car.
You're going to go look at your car, right? You're going to go out to your windshield and you're going to run your hand over it and you're going to look and see if there's any pinnings in your windshield. 1954, they didn't have quite the safety features. I mean, the windshield technology wasn't as great, right? So you're going to find pins in your windshield in 1954 just because rocks hit it and stuff like that. So there's lots of reports on this windshield pitting, and they don't know, oh my gosh, it's spreading from here to another, to a school, to different places. And here's a picture of these people looking very seriously, pointing to the hole in the windshield. And vandals hit more windshields. Contractor, oh wait, no, that's something else. Anyway, so you can see they're taking it seriously. There's 2 photos. This is the main headline of the Bellingham Herald. And then it's starting in the Seattle News. And other people are picking up. I guess it's the slow news day. Culprits elude capture despite big police hunt. Citizens, they use male citizens. I thought that was really funny. They got all the kids out of the school that were I guess, large boys, and said, we're going to go get these people. And they're investigating and they're going around. And you think about how scary that could possibly be to people who are different and people who would like to marginalize anyway, that they may be the ones responsible. It's pretty scary. So here's a more close-up of them pointing to names. All these BB men who were there going, look, there is a hole in my windshield. So by midday, the number of vehicles struck by BB shot or other phantom missiles had topped over 300. So then, the school lot is hit. Again, there's 50 cars around the high school are peppered. It hit just before school started, and they turned loose irate students in the auto shop. Oh, they got auto shop boys. There you go. Because I guess the beefier ones. And so they went out and they were looking around and they found all these people that went up and down looking, and they go, oh, kids, 10 boys from the physical education class were dismissed from class. Oh, that sounds kind of. Hoodlums boldly entered the school grounds at the rear, where several teachers' cars were hit. Now we're getting really into it. Sears and Roebuck parking lot got 35 to 40 more vehicles. They had windshields chipped and broken. Some said that in addition to the populated town, these hoodlums are going out into rural areas where there's just cows and trucks, and they're hitting them with BB guns and slingshots. Oh my God, what's the world coming to? And then they come in and there's more, and they've got the state police and the state patrol, and they've got all the personnel, these cops that are on. They sectioned off areas so that people would have to go through with roadblocks. They appealed to help to the president. Thank you very much. I think it was Eisenhower. So they went to the president of the United States to get help with this windshield pitting incident. 1 million people in the Puget Sound County were stirred up by the case of the pockmarked windshields because it's H-bombs. We know it's H-bombs because it isn't people who are hitting it with slingshots now or hitting it with BB guns. It must be H-bombs because that's that type of era, right? We're all scared. And then it could be a tonic, and then they instructed the federal agencies to cooperate with local he bases, this is all coming from the same newspaper headline, and it's all over the place, because I'm just pulling from one. And there are doubters too, those awful skeptics. They think it's an awful lot of people are victims of mass hysteria, suddenly conscious of something that may have happened days, weeks, or months ago. Ah, well, we can't listen to those people. Tell me what. I love that, right? Chemistry department, he says there isn't anything I know of that could be causing unusual breaks. So some reason is starting to penetrate, but this is weeks later. There can't be anything happening. This doesn't make any sense. These people must be dreaming. But no, lynch that person. Oh my gosh. All right, claims mount. The claims of damaged windshields are mounting to the thousands. And one thing else seems to be certain. No other glass objects seem to be suffering. Not even the side windows of the cars. Just the front windshield for some odd reason. So here's a new turn. I read motorists tell them, so as it starts to die down a little bit, now there's a new contagion. And this is people are letting air out of their tires. They suddenly go out and they notice that there's air, their tires are not completely full. And so now people are going around, hoodlums are going around and releasing little bits of air out of each person's tire for some reason, just some. It spreads even further. Let me see, like I said, looks like the peak of this thing might have been passed. Looks like it's becoming just hysteria, 5% vandalism and 95% public hysteria. And see, it takes time for the reason and the investigations to take the hold. But in the media runs of the story, because clicks sell, even in the time of 1954 when they didn't have clicks. They're selling newspapers because the hype is pushing it. It takes a while before we start learning the explanations for these things. Some people had damage, said they saw it happen right before their eyes, which is interesting. And then it becomes hysteria. It's spreading even farther still, even though there's reason people are starting to understand what's going on. And then 75 Marines spent 5 hours checking all cars that entered or left the area after reports of windshield vandalism. They didn't find anybody. Sheriff advanced a theory of radioactivity released by an H-bomb. They used Geiger counters to test. This is small, you won't remember read it. Okay, so they pleaded to President Eisenhower to cope with the problem. They hastened to protect their windshields with newspapers and shopping bags. They said that the reason for the rapid spread was a 2-page spread in a picture magazine and multi-million-dollar circulation, which gave Bellingham vandalism a nationwide play. So when it ends up happening, it started spreading to England, to Germany, and so on. It's spreading to these other areas because the media picks it up and they start spreading it again. It sells. If it bleeds, it sells, they say. But if it bleeds, it leads. So they start talking about it and it's spreading all over the place. It's going everywhere. So even though, here I like this, it's like flying saucers. It's a mystery that has not been solved, which has not been solved either here or elsewhere, may well have been contagious in the sense that when a flying saucer is reported in one place, flying saucers almost invariably show up elsewhere. So more reason. University professors pronounce certain particles they examine meteors. So finally, it's starting to calm down. Things are starting to get better. People are starting to forget about it. The windshield glass company says, "What the heck, you guys have tested this? It's only happening on your windshield. This is normal damage." People are used to looking through the windshield, not going out and looking at the windshield and looking in at it and seeing the damage. You just don't notice it whenever you're inside. So these finally come out and they start talking about it. They're talking about Guam got hit, oh my gosh, because of wire services picked up the story. And so we move on. Some people said that they saw dime-sized bubbles inside the glass. And so they speculated, of course, what else could it possibly be but sand fleas had gotten into the windshield and they put their little eggs in the windshield, and then the eggs had hatched, and now they have sand fleas inside the windshield glass. Oh my gosh, can you imagine that? That's terrifying. So this is what they're speculating, and I am shocked. I'm shocked tell me, this is a shock face, that nobody was really hurt. I mean, time was wasted, people were probably shaken down, it was scary and so on, but nobody was hurt, but it could have been. Because these are people who are out, looking to find an answer to this, and there's always somebody to blame, because it could be, who knows. So, a little later we found out the panic actually lowered tensions of the H-bomb, because their fear was something terrible was going to happen, because H-bomb was a big deal. And so when they found out that it was just going to be windshields being pitted, a lot of the tension relaxed and people were able to get through it. So there may be psychological reasons that these panics happen at a time when society is on edge. And so that might possibly be, I'm not a sociologist, that might possibly be the reason why some of these phenomena seem to spread more at certain times of society than at other times. And the media, like I said, fuels these things. So if you want to know more about this, you can go to the Wikipedia page. I did not write this. I don't know anybody who wrote this. Seattle's windshield pitting epidemic. This will explain it a lot more detail. But now I'm going to end. I'm not going to do any questions. It's going to be Leonard's turn. And as you go, you can look at this Skeptical Inquirer also again. These are some of the people, especially Robert Bartholomew, who's talked a lot about the Havana syndrome, which is very similar to what's going on, mass delusions, hysterias. And this is an article you can find if you want in Skeptical Inquirer. It's from 2000, that's how old it is. And so I do want to mention there is now, I just saw on Twitter, a dangerous poison fog there's fog and it's poisonous, and there's a lot of people on Twitter going nuts thinking that it's government sent it to kill us. I don't know, turn the frogs gay, somebody said on Facebook the other day. I thought that was funny. So I'm going to end that, and Leonard's going to come up here and he's going to tell the rest of